Hello everyone, my name is Sark and welcome back to another Mafex figure review, the second Mafex figure that I have now in my collection. And in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the classic costume version Mafex, the Amazing Spider-Man. Finally glad that I've got my hands on this guy because he just got reissued and re-released not very long ago. It's been like less than a week since he came out, I think, at least from the time of recording this video. I've heard nothing but good things about this guy, and I'm very, very excited to take a look at him because I really want to compare him to the No Way Home Spider-Man from SH Figuarts. So let's, without further ado, let's take him out and see how this guy looks. Alright, so here we have the Amazing Spider-Man, and I gotta say, just my first initial thoughts, I think this guy is already perfect. Holy hell, did they do such a good job with this guy. Now, I understand this is the reissue, or like the re-release of this guy, so there's been a lot of reviews out there already, which is fine. I'm just getting into the game late. But this guy looks absolutely beautiful. I love the matte finish on the blue parts of the suit and the somewhat glossy red areas, kind of showcasing the differences in material. Absolutely astonishing and perfect in my opinion. The actual webbing throughout the suit is so well done. There's like no issues whatsoever. In some areas it kind of does fade a little bit, which would be typical for any Spider-Man figure, but this one just makes it feel so authentic and very much like original comic book like, and I love that. It's really, really good and I like it. Now, the webbing being a little bit faded out is somewhat like of a bother because it doesn't strike out as much, I guess. I feel like I'm just trying to get bad points of this figure. But they also do have the blue joints, which is something that was a bit of a annoyance with the SH Figuarts Spider-Man that I looked at a while back at this point. But again, this guy is just amazing. It's in the title, so it makes the most sense. He doesn't have the biggest cake, but it's all right. He has cake, enough cake to actually function. But overall, aesthetic is perfect in my opinion. I don't think there is anything better than this guy in terms of looks. Now, I don't have the Toby SH Figuarts, but I hear that's a great contender. But besides that, in terms of the articulation for the head, we do have a looking down about that far, which is okay, and looking up about that far, which is amazing for this guy. And of course, side to side, going sideways, the neck really does a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, something I didn't notice is that the actual mask does have sort of like a divot or in like outwards indent, which in my opinion, not indent, but like going outwards a little bit, and I kind of don't like that. Now, it does give you better range, but at the same time, they could have got rid of that and it would have been fine. It just kind of looks off, especially from the side. You can definitely see it more protruding outward than the front. The front is fine, which is most of the time how you're going to look at them. For the butterfly joints, this guy has amazing range for the butterfly joints. It is spectacular, amazing, incredible. So you're going to be able to get those swinging motions very, very nicely with this guy. We do have hinges on the arms that allow you to get this much of a T-pose, which is amazing. And of course, the 360 rotation. Now, it really does depend on how tight your joints are. I think my joints for this figure are actually fairly adequate and not loose or tight enough for me to actually use like my shock oil or having to add any additional padding for the joints to not fall off. But he does have a bicep swivel a little bit. You can move him around if you want. Probably a tight joint in there, so I'm gonna try to avoid not moving it. This is great. You can see the red here, which for the actual elbow joint, amazing. And you also have the blue underneath. A little bit of a issue with the actual paint job of the black lines, but it's fine. It still looks good nonetheless. You won't really see it, especially from the back. Same for the other side. They look good otherwise. For the ab crunch, oh wait, we do have hinge wrists, which are your typical wrist, which actually don't have. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say, I don't know why, but they're not moving for me. So they can move about forward that far and backwards this far. And I like this because it's just pegs. It's not ball joints or ball pegs. It's just regular like sticks and pegs, which I really like. I think that's the way that every company should do it. Otherwise, you'd end up sometimes breaking them, and that's just gonna get annoying. For the ab crunch, this is the first time I'm actually trying the ab crunch. We got about, that's the upper chest crunch, about that far. Not the greatest, but going backwards, perfect. We do have sort of like that weird crunch here in the front, but it's okay. Now, with the actual waist, he can look downward about that far and backwards about that far. So pretty much opposites on going forward and backwards for these two joints, which is fine. I don't have much of an issue there. He also rotates side to side for a little bit, same with the top portion. And for the legs, he can do the splits about this much, which is good. And he does have drop down hips, which do give you a little bit of better range. So without the drop down hips, you get about that much range. With the drop down hips, oh wait, it just dropped down by itself. So that's about with the drop down hips. Pretty much every single time that you're going to use it, going forward about that much, and going backwards about this much sideways. So yeah, he does have butt cheeks, so you won't be able to get the most articulation going backwards. That is probably something that the SH Figuarts Spider-Man does a lot better, because he does have weird joints in this case. But this guy still looks amazing nonetheless. For the knees, double joint the knees. Again, for some reason, they still have this sort of issue going on. I don't know if it's just mine, where the joint itself just kind of sticks over a little more than it should be. But it only does it for that knee, because for this knee, it's completely covered. Don't know why that happens. But yeah, otherwise, it looks good. And then, unfortunately, no boot swivel or thigh swivel, which does suck. And we do have a hinge for the foot that goes forward about that far, backwards this far, and you can rock it side to side, and with a nice toe joint, which looks so seamless, and I love that. But yeah, been spending a lot of time with the articulation for this guy, and it's honestly better than I anticipated, for sure. It is a Spider-Man figure, and I think he does fit the criteria of all the articulation that any form of Spider-Man figure should have, especially nowadays with the technology that we have for action figures. Now, let's take a look at the accessories, because he does seem to have quite a bit of accessories. So let me take a look. Let me get those out and see what he comes with. Alright, I forgot that sometimes a lot of these Mafex figures come with so many accessories. So to start us off, we do have a complete different set of footsies that do have magnets on them. These look really good. And magnets on both the actual sole and the tip of the feet are really good, because that will give it more strength, and I like that. I love when my Spider-Man figures are magnetic. Very nicely done. We do have the wall crawling hands right here, the set of two. I love how they do this with this little sort of support peg or support system that they have for two of those. We do have sort of relaxed hands for Spider-Man, very nicely painted. And of course, we have the thwippers, of course, why not? Again, sometimes the actual painting on the webbing can be a little bit too much. Like, for example, here with the hands, you can see a little bit too much paint inside or in between the fingers for the actual black, which is okay, but sometimes it's a little bit faded. This one looks fine. These are more wall crawling hands for the magnetic surfaces, which is perfect in my opinion. We do have a more squinted version of the actual face. Whoops, my bad, Spidey. So just to give a clear distinction between the two, this is more of a natural expression, very relaxed, very normal, and this is more of like an angry, like gonna hurt you expression, I guess. That's when Spider-Man gets serious, and you don't like it. You won't like it when he gets serious. He also comes with webs. Sorry, Spidey. He also does come with a multitude of different webs, starting off with sort of like the cage, the web cage. I don't know what this would be called. Sort of like the flipping section where he would just use his actual spider webs or spider web shooters. I don't know why it took me so long to do that. But yeah, just another peg as well to sort of attach stuff in if you wanted to. Don't know what this is for specifically, but it does have a hole here, so I don't know what that would work for. Yeah, I don't know. There's no instructions whatsoever for these two, so if you can let me know down in the comments, I would love to know. We do have sort of like mid-range webs where he's like kind of just shooting it out real quick, or like just shot it out. Very nicely looking. I really like the eggshell white that they got going on for this, and sort of longer range webbings, of course, very nice looking. And the last but not least, a sort of swinging web motion. Very nice. And of course, we do have the stands, just to show it again real quick. We do have the crotch grabber and the waist grabber connected with the the pretty much 3 peg stand support, and the nice and clean stand that they got going on. I love it when they include stands for figures that are this sort of expensive. He's actually not that expensive realistically. And of course we have another, I'm dropping things. We have another sort of like support beam right here, a more streamlined one with another waist grabber that is more tighter, really, because it has an actual screw in there, very similar to the Mafex Psylocke that I looked at a while ago. And this is just the extra part that it comes with the first waist grabbers that I showed. But yeah, I guess leading to my final thoughts, I do think this figure is incredible. It's amazing, to say the least. I think this figure, in terms of my rating, deserves a perfect 10 out of 10. I think this figure has great accessories for a Spider-Man figure with webbing and a bunch of different hand gestures and magnetic feet and hands. Absolutely perfect. As well as the different face with the more angry expression. Incredible. Love it. And of course, the amount of webs that it has. Very nice. They could have taken away 2 different pairs of webs, kind of like the initial ones, the shorter ones, and I think it still would have been great. The stand is always a great addition for any figure nowadays. I think companies should always include a stand for figures such as Spider-Man. But yeah, I love that. But yeah, I think a perfect 10 out of 10 for this figure is more than sufficient. But that's pretty much all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this Spider-Man himself. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think he's amazing, spectacular? Or do you think he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? But besides that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.